ตอนนี้ยังไม่มีสัญญาณชีพนะครับที่พบนี่ก็มีร่างอยู่ผมว่าน่าจะ12ร่างที่อยู่ด้านในนะแต่ยังไม่ได้ออกมาเพราะว่าการเอาออกร่างออกมายังถือว่าไม่ใช่เรื่องสำคัญที่สุดตอนนี้นะแต่อันไหนที่พอออกมาได้เราก็เอาออกมาอย่างร่างเมื่อกี้นะครับที่เสียชีวิตก็ออกมาก่อนแต่ว่าถ้าอันไหนที่ลึกแล้วมีสิ่งทับอยู่เนี่ยเราก็ถือว่าขอหาผู้รอดชีวิตก่อน The expert still have hope and I think we continue with hope that the rescue operation is still going on even we are in the fourth day already but the case that maybe they survive 1 week even 2 weeks so we have to go on yeah
大乜都照顧，十五弟弟廟呢？
Kwon Young-jun said he was only thinking about getting back to his wife and daughter when he leapt across a splitting bridge connecting two skyscrapers in Bangkok during an earthquake last week.
생각을 할 수 있는 시간이 없었어요.
There was no time to think. I just moved instinctively, ran, reacted, focused only on moving forward. That was all I could do.
그거밖에 할 수가 없어.
A 7.7 magnitude quake struck central Myanmar and rattled neighboring countries, including Thailand, on March 28th. The moment Kwon jumped across the damaged bridge was caught on camera by a Thai reporter. Video from social media shows debris falling from the building before a section of the bridge breaks off. Kwon said after he leapt across the bridge, he ran down 52 flights of stairs, jumping 3 at a time to reunite with his family.
내가 빨리 여기서 살아남아서
I thought I have to survive this and get to my wife and child, so I kept going down with everything I had.
내려가는데
His wife Sukenya Yatwam said she safely got to the ground floor with her daughter and nanny, but didn't realize what her husband had gone through until video aired on a Thai TV channel.
อะไรอย่างเงี้ยค่ะแต่ตอนนั้นเราก็แบบไม่ได้คิดจินตนาการ
I was not able to imagine how scary it was until I saw the video clip on Thai Wrath. I was so shocked because the split second that he jumped over, the bridge split. It was a moment of life or death. I'm getting goosebumps right now talking about it.
Since the earthquake, the family has moved back to their home in the outskirts of Bangkok and is considering selling the high-rise apartment. But Kwon said he's thankful he was able to see his wife and daughter when he reached the ground that day.
Thousands dead, entire neighbourhoods levelled. The ruling junta maintains its long-term ban on international journalists entering the country and reporting on the destruction. That may be because, as we shall see, it is still pursuing its campaign against rebel forces, even in the aftermath of the earthquake. So, with no access, open source information from satellite imagery and social media is a vital tool. Mandalay, Myanmar's second city, just 20 kilometres from the epicentre, was hit very hard. Now, some of that destruction has been filmed. Videos like these are uploaded to social media. Then we can do the work of verifying it, making sure we're accurate. This was a monastery, the largest in Mandalay, this tower here, before the earthquake. And this was after. You can see the broken tower. And even as onlookers are filming the destruction, they capture new ruins. Pay attention to this building. We can check that with satellite imagery. It's a bit grainy, but you can see here the tower is on the floor and then the block that came down over here. So by combining videos like these with satellite imagery, the data and forensics unit has verified and mapped much of the destruction. Now, in some places we don't have as many videos, but data gathered from the EU's Copernicus rapid mapping program uses satellite images to map destruction like this. Now, of those, Pardue, an urban area northwest of Mandalay, was particularly affected. Each red dot is a building which has been damaged or destroyed. More than 1,200 built-up areas damaged or destroyed. As was Lemang region to the north of Mandalay, 275 buildings damaged or destroyed here. Now, there is a caveat to all that satellite data. Much of the damage may have come from the ongoing civil war. This is a map of all the incidents since the start of the conflict. You can see just how extensive it is, and it is very much ongoing. Despite the earthquake, the military junta is still apparently carrying out airstrikes on rebel forces. This is an attack on Nong Len, identified by the Centre for Information Resilience and verified by us. Unlike with the earthquake damage, we can see blast marks and a crater in this image too. Now, none of this is complete or comprehensive. We're working with clues instead, and it suits the Myanmar government to keep things that way.
Bangkok, they are still here searching the debris that you can see behind me after that devastating earthquake in neighbouring Myanmar, which brought the high-rise building here to the ground. And tonight we have a special report for you from inside Myanmar by our correspondent Yogita Lamai. The military government says that the death toll now stands at almost 2,900 people, but as you'll see from Yogita's report, the actual death toll could be much higher. The military government seized complete power there in 2021 and enforced an authoritarian rule that pushed the country into civil war. Now, since around lunchtime on Friday, the ruling military have refused to let any journalists enter after that earthquake happened. But Yogita managed to get into Myanmar and then travelled undercover to the epicentre near the second biggest city of Mandalay. She is one of the first foreign journalists to enter the country since the disaster struck. Yogita joins me now. Tell me more, first of all, about what you found there.
Well, you actually start seeing signs of the destruction on the way to Mandalay, the main highway. There are cracks along the road, there are parts which are caved in, and actually after a point the main highway is damaged, so you can't use it. You've got to take an alternative route. And then when you start entering Mandalay, bit by bit, the extent of the damage begins to reveal itself, as we'll see in our report. And a warning to our audiences that some viewers might find some of the images in this report difficult to watch. A densely populated city that took the direct hit of the biggest earthquake to rock this country in a century. As we drove into Mandalay, bit by bit, we witnessed the scale of the devastation. Nearly every street we turned into, we saw scenes like this. Myanmar has said it's not allowing foreign journalists in since the earthquake. We went in undercover to show the extent of the impact. Access to the major collapse sites was difficult, but we managed to slip in to see this Buddhist academy, where scores of monks are feared trapped. Rescuers who've arrived from India are trying to dig them out, but they told us in this kind of collapse, it's unlikely they'll find survivors. We've heard varying estimates of how many people might be trapped inside here. Some say more than 80, others say more than 100. When the earthquake struck, Buddhist monks were taking an examination hall. and the floors collapsed one on top of the other, trapping them underneath these concrete blocks. What's also making the rescue operation even more difficult is how hot it is. It's really sweltering. And just from everywhere around us, we can smell dead bodies.
It takes them a few hours to finally manage to pull one body out. The work is demanding and slow. Families who've been waiting in the compound for news of their loved ones rush to the ambulance to take a look. The stench here is now overwhelming. An official shows a photo and explains that the body was found crushed under a pillar. Agonizing moments pass as the families try to identify the dead man, but he's not recognizable. 29-year-old Uthazana is one of those who was taking the exam. His father, a farmer, Ula Ong, tells us, "Knowing my son ended up like this, I'm inconsolable. I'm filled with grief." In this moment of loss, the only solace these families have is that someone is looking for their sons. But we saw multiple sites where rescuers haven't even reached. This is a hotel that was being converted into an office space. 5 workers were trapped inside. One of them is 21-year-old Saihan Pa. His mother, Nan Shin Hein, has been waiting on the street outside for nearly 5 days for someone to go and search for her son.
I'm very distressed. I'm just holding on, hoping to see my son's face. Whether he's dead or alive, I just want to see his body.
Not far away, we stop when we see a funeral ritual being carried out just by the side of the road. The destroyed home behind belonged to a couple in their 60s, Ula Ong Keng and his wife, Dao Mamad. Their bodies were dug out from this rubble not by authorities, but by locals using basic equipment. They were found with their arms around each other. It's unclear if these deaths are being counted, or if we'll ever know how many have really died.
We're seeing scenes of destruction like this one across Mandalay, and the reality on the ground is there just aren't enough pairs of hands to dig through the rubble to look for survivors or even the dead. And a large part of the reason for that is the complicated political scenario in this country. It's got a civil war going on, and since 2021 it's been run by a military government which took control in a coup.
Myanmar's ruling junta has uneasy relations with many foreign countries, especially Western nations, which means more foreign manpower cannot freely come in. This has already hampered the possibility of finding survivors. We also managed to slip into Mandalay's main hospital, where we found more evidence of how overwhelmed facilities are.
What we're seeing here is hospitals that are stretched past capacity, and they can't even go inside because the building is damaged, and so people are just being treated here outside. There's a shortage of medicines, of blood. The Myanmar government has put out an appeal for all of those things, but much more is needed here.
14-year-old Shwe Gi Tun Fu has an injury to her head. She's responsive, but in a serious condition. Her family by her side. In another bed, Zaza says she has an abdominal injury, her daughter propping her up. Everywhere we see families who are stepping in to do what trained medical staff should. There aren't enough doctors or nurses. We had to leave quickly for fear of being apprehended by authorities. And we couldn't go to see if the morgue was also overwhelmed. Parks and spaces all over the city have become makeshift camps for those displaced by the earthquake. There's no official count of how many have lost their homes. The aid distribution we saw was largely being carried out by small groups with limited stocks. Not enough supplies for the enormous needs. People scrambling to take what they can get. We met Dao Kin Sao Mint, who tells us she's lost her home.
I don't know anything anymore. My heart is still trembling. It's really difficult. My house collapsed. It's gone. There is no one to rescue us. Please help us.
Even those whose homes are intact don't dare go inside. There have been multiple big aftershocks in the days following the earthquake. This is a city living outdoors. A city living in terror.
Well, Yogita has now left Myanmar and joins me here in Bangkok tonight. It is such a powerful report and so clear when you watch it that there is an absolute lack of humanitarian aid.
Not enough aid coming in. There's not enough care for all of the people who are injured and just lying outside a hospital. And crucially, not enough trained rescuers on the ground. And a big part of the reason for that is this is a country that's run by a government, run by a military junta, which has an uneasy relationship with many countries around the world, including the UK and the US, which means not enough foreign rescuers are able to come in. There are rescue teams from countries like India, China, Russia, and a few others, but it's not enough. And interestingly, because the civil war has been going on and the junta has only announced a ceasefire today, we've also not seen Myanmar's military being pressed into action for relief and rescue in the way that it perhaps should have been.
And what we also saw there were the many challenges that people are facing without shelter, without food, water, medical treatment, but also among them is clearly the fear that they have.
Absolutely. I mean, there's trauma everywhere. When you speak to people, you know, they almost start crying in the next couple of minutes. And once it becomes evening, you just see people come out of their homes, bringing their mattresses, bringing benches. And literally, this is a city that's sleeping outdoors because there's been aftershocks nearly every night. We experienced one that was quite big, magnitude 5 aftershock. But there's also other fears because this is a government that's quite oppressive. So people are also quite hesitant to speak out.
And it really makes a difference. Yogita, thank you so much.
The regime in Myanmar says more than 1,600 people were killed and thousands more injured in Friday's earthquake. An international relief effort is gathering pace with the UK pledging nearly $13 million in aid, and Russia and China also offering assistance. But the disaster has not put a stop to fighting in Myanmar's civil war.
After 30 hours under the rubble, a life saved. Rescuers pulled this woman from the ruins of her apartment building in Mandalay. A grateful embrace from her husband before she was rushed to hospital. Elsewhere, the search goes on, mostly without success, like at this school where pupils call out to those who may be trapped below. Throughout Mandalay, many buildings are badly damaged or destroyed. There's despair and hope.
When the rescuers said they found dead bodies, I thought it was my daughter. I even asked all my relatives to come around to support me. But now they say they saw my daughter and she's alive. I can't describe how happy I am. I am.
Amid the devastation, Myanmar's civil war goes on. Many of the worst affected areas aren't under the control of the country's military rulers. They have continued to carry out airstrikes in the north, and near the epicenter in the Sagaing region, they're accused of blocking access to aid.
The most affected area, Sagaing area, so that is really actually blocked by the military. So the revolutionary groups, they wanted to go and help out to the civilians, but they cannot go. And also military, they block the whole road and they cannot do the adequate support and rescues to the civilians.
Now, Myanmar's opposition National Unity Government has announced a unilateral 2-week partial ceasefire to allow relief efforts. Many here hope that the warring parties can set aside the conflict to help those affected by the worst earthquake to strike the country in decades.
44တောင်อ่ะ29လမ်း44တောင်อ่ะ
ကျွန်တော်ရှိနောက်ဆုံးတင်တဲ့စင်းအထိပေါ့ဒီနေ့မနေ့8နာရီအထိပေါ့ရတဲ့စင်းမှာပြည်내တိုင်းဒေသအားလုံးမှာ2009နဲ့19ရောက်သေးပါတယ်2900နဲ့19ရောက်သေးပါတယ်4521ယောက်တန်ရာရပါတယ်441ယောက်ပျောက်ဆုံးကြောင်းသတင်းပို့ထားပါတယ်ပျောက်ဆုံးကြောင်းသတင်းပို့တဲ့လူတွေကတော့တေးဖို့ဆုံးဖို့တော့တော်တော်များပါတယ်ဟိုလေကျွန်တော်တို့9နာရီကြော်လာပြီဖြစ်တဲ့အတွက်ကြောင့်အတိတ်တော့မလို့တော့ဆိုင်ရနေတာလေခလေးမြင်တာဆိုတော့အခုပတ်ဝန်းကျင်တွေလည်းဒီကမှာဆိုတော့တော့ကိုယ့်ကိုယ်ကိုတော့ဆိုတဲ့ဆီအခုလည်းဆိုအဘုံနဲ့ထောက်ရတယ်အခုတော့စီနာယူဒါဆက်ဘာလဲဆက်ထည့်ပြရတယ်ကိုယ်ကကိုယ်စီစီနဲ့ကိုယ်ထောက်ရတာပေါ့ဘာမှဟောဖြစ်တာလည်းမလားဘူးပေါ့
ต้องเข้มแข็งค่ะเราอ่อนแอไม่ได้เพราะว่าเราต้องอยู่รอลูกเราจะอ่อนแอหรือจะเจ็บป่วยไม่ได้
စာသွင်းတဲ့အချိန်ပေါ့45ပြင်းတဲ့အချိန်မှာရောပြောကြတာပေါ့ငင်းလောက်ပြောအောင်ဆိုဘုံကျတော့ဘယ်လိုရ
Hãy subscribe cho kênh Ghiền Mì Gõ để không bỏ lỡ